Heyo, we are back. Another episode of BullTalk. That's right, episode 3. What are we thinking, Jonathan?
This is like third time's the charm, right? And we certainly have something to prove it. We got a special guest, our very first special guest here at the at BullTalk, Leo Solga, our very own student council Sergeant-at-Arms, right?
That is correct. Salutations, and thank you for having me here today.
It's a pleasure. It's all our pleasure. So why don't you introduce yourself, Leo? I know you're super active in like half the clubs at LM, and you have like so many great things going on. So why don't you just give us a brief introduction?
Well, I wouldn't say I'm incredibly active, but let's see. I'm a junior. Of course, Leo Solga we're talking to. Sergeant-at-Arms is student council. Additionally, I do Inspire. I do Model UN. I do debate as well. I do Ultimate Frisbee. Some may consider me the de facto JV captain, but not officially or anything. That's a great time though.
So he's super busy and he's modest. That's like a double win. But yeah.
You're involved in everything. I'm amazed.
Yeah.
Wow.
So why don't we start with student council, like just right off the top of the list. So I know student council has been planning a lot of things this year. You've had a bunch of really great meetings. So why don't you walk us through that, like what's been going on, what you've planned for the end of the year, and some things that you've been doing this year.
Well, I'll absolutely get into all that. One thing I would like to go over real quick with this voice is I'd like to explain how student government works at this school, if you don't mind.
Mm-hmm.
I believe there are a lot of misconceptions about how student government actually works at Lower Merion. In quick sum, this is how it goes. We've got class office, we have advisory representatives, we have student council, and then we have the principal's advisory committee. How do these all work together? All right, so basically, student council is comprised of elected advisory representatives, theoretically elected advisory representatives. Often they're uncontested in their advisories. And you've got 5 officers there. That's the main thing. That is student council at the school. You've got all the committees. They do Radnor Week, Maroon Madness, all that good stuff. And then you have class office. Each grade has 4 class officers, I believe. I know you're one, I believe, Elliot.
I am, yeah. Class of 2021.
That's good stuff.
Yeah.
So each grade's got 4 of those. They mostly do planning for prom, class-specific things. And then additionally, apart from those 2, there's the principal's advisory committee, which I'm not really sure I would call student government per se, but they're definitely in that conversation. They're not necessarily part of student council, but they meet with Mr. Hughes. Additionally, the cabinet of student council meets with Mr. Hughes. So
Are all those organs relatively new, like the advisory council?
the advisory committee is relatively new, yes,
Okay.
to my
Gotcha.
knowledge.
And just to make it clear, class officers aren't intermingled with like the student government that you're a part of. correct?
Yes, there isn't really that much correlation between class office and student council. In fact, you're actually not allowed to be a class officer and a student council officer as per student council bylaws.
Right, I've heard a lot about that, and I've gotten a lot of questions saying, oh, why is Maroon Madness happening now? And I'm like, I'm not involved with that. I'm a class officer. We're planning prom and whatnot, not, the big things you guys are working on, so.
So I could talk a little bit about those big things that we've had so far.
Absolutely,
definitely.
yeah.
So we had Maroon Madness just recently. It was a great time. We raised a good chunk over $2,000 for Coaches
Wow.
versus Cancer.
That's awesome.
So we're very happy about that. It was live streamed on the Lower Merion YouTube channel. You can still watch it right now if you're interested. It's good stuff. Personally, my favorite part was the teacher trivia. So shout out to Mr. Pietrowski. He did an excellent job there. All of the teachers, all of them did a great job. So lots of thanks for all those guys.
That was an awesome thing. I saw you touring around the school, having a lot of teachers answering questions. So looking forward for student government, is there anything else planned for the beginning of the year, or is it planning for next year?
Well, one thing is we're actually getting I believe I could be incorrect here, so you know what, I'm not even gonna say this then, because I could be wrong. So we've got Senor Kapkin is coming in as the new teacher sponsor for student council. And one thing we wanna do early next year is constitutional revisions. The Constitution is a very old document. It doesn't really have anything, it doesn't mention digital technology pretty much at all.
You're talking about the U.S. Constitution.
No, the student council
Oh,
constitution.
okay, I see.
They
Yeah.
get confused sometimes.
Anyway, constitutional revisions probably at the beginning of the year. We've got to work in Zoom meetings, how those works, stuff like that, you know. So,
Oh yeah, Zoom has been like, I know for some other clubs who have bylaws or constitution or that like counterpart, they all have like in-person meetings scheduled, but they don't have the counterpart for virtual. So yeah, that's definitely something everybody really is looking at. So yeah, so with regard to student council, I know elections are coming up, and I know that there are like a variety of offices. So would you like break down those for us and get us a better overview of how the election is going to be run?
Okay, so essentially we've got the president, of course. That's the most known position. The president's going to lead the meetings, do all that kind of stuff. There's the vice president as well, of course, very important. We've got secretary, sergeant-at-arms, and treasurer. The main thing with all the positions is that position-specific roles aren't really that important. Well, you may be the sergeant-at-arms or the treasurer. At the end of the day, you're more of a student council officer, and that's the main thing.
It's a great wrap to the discussion on student council. So
Yeah, it's been great having you, Leo.
yeah,
You're our first ever special guest. So hopefully we can, get a photo wall coming up soon with all of our guests, but you'll definitely be at the top. Thank you for coming out, Leo. Any final words?
No, thank you. That's awesome. I'm really glad to hear about that potential photo wall. Of course, not necessary, but it's good stuff. I like
It's
it.
necessary. All right.
for you.
Thanks for coming on BullTalk.
Thank you.
Talk to you
Thank
later.
you very much.
Thank you.
Godspeed.